Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie, and one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
He walked over with vulgar language towards me that it's not a driveway. I said, what do you mean it's not a driveway? How do you know? This is a driveway.
Okay.
It's been a driveway since 1929.
How long have you lived there?
Since 1972.
I can't imagine this is the first time this happens, is it?
No.
This is the plaintiff, Peggy Licamelli. She said a defendant has an illegal sign in front of her house claiming there's no parking allowed. This is a bogus, illegal sign, but somehow she got her car towed and she had to pay over $300 to get it back. She got the ticket dismissed by the court. Now the defendant won't reimburse her for the tow or the damage the tow company caused. So she's suing for the $847.97 she's most definitely owed. This is the defendant, Eva Gerges. She says she lives around the corner from a school, and the plaintiff, who's a teacher, parked on the street blocking her driveway. She called the cops. They wrote her a ticket and she was towed. The plaintiff claims her driveway is not a driveway, and if the plaintiff can prove that, she'll bow down and kiss her feet. She's accused of faking it.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Licamelli, you are suing Ms. Gerges for $847 that you say you are out as a result of her, I guess you feel, illegally towing you. Tell me what happened here.
So I want to step back before that day because there was another event on September 14th that I parked there. And I received a phone call and then text messages. And I walked outside and I had a conversation with Ms. Gerges. And I said, it's not a driveway. The curb isn't cut. And just because you hang a sign that says no parking doesn't mean it's a driveway. And I left my car there, and I went back into work. I'm a teacher in the nearby
What
school.
time did you have that conversation with her?
I could probably tell.
And how did you get text? How did she know what your number was and everything?
In that conversation, I said, how did you get my number? And she told me she went through my car.
She went inside your car and
She
went
went
through?
inside my car.
Okay.
So I actually, at the end of that day, I couldn't stay that day and wait for the police to come. I called the police. They did not come. But I went to the police precinct on the following Monday and filed a harassment. They said I couldn't file a like a theft or...
I don't know that it's harassment either. It's a trespass, but I mean...
Well, the phone calls and they
wait,
said...
when you say the phone calls, she
called my phone...
And said what?
I didn't answer.
And then she texted you?
Yes. And I have those text messages.
Right. And
saying, do you own a white Subaru? And
you say, who's asking?
Right.
And then she says, I'm trying to be nice before you get a ticket and towed. You're blocking my driveway.
Right.
And then you go to the house, and that's when you have the discussion with her.
Right.
And then you tell her, I'm not moving my car because that's not a real driveway.
Right.
And your car didn't get towed that day.
Did not get towed.
Did you call the police that day to issue a ticket?
I don't remember what day it was, to be honest with you.
But there was a confrontation with her beforehand, right?
I believe so. I don't remember. It was so long ago. I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay, but this is kind of a big event, right? You're in court over this. I'm sure you've thought about this. Did you go through her car, get her number, and text her?
No, ma'am. The door was opened.
She left her door open?
The door in the back door was opened. Not unlocked, opened.
So not just unlocked, but opened, and then you walked in it.
I didn't walk into there. There was a paper on the floor.
And then you stuck your hand inside of it and grabbed the paper to get her number.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. All right, so then and I doubt her door was actually open. Clearly it was unlocked. Open. But in any event, you call her and you say, I'm trying to be nice.
Exactly.
You're blocking my driveway. And what does she do or say? She goes to see you personally?
She walked over with vulgar language towards me that it's not a driveway. I said, what do you mean it's not a driveway? How do you know? This is a driveway.
Okay.
It's been a driveway since 1929.
How long have you lived there?
Since 1972.
I can't imagine this is the first time this happens, is it?
No.
People park in front of there all the time.
Yes.
Right. And they do that because the sidewalk is not cut for a driveway, right?
Well,
why isn't
it was redone twice already.
But why isn't it? Okay, but there's a certain procedure to have the city approve you having a driveway. In other words, you can't just park in your front lawn. It's got to be approved to be a driveway, right?
Right.
Did you ever go through that?
I went to the city a long time ago, and they couldn't find anything. I went into Manhattan to find the paperwork.
Did you actually request to be able to make a driveway?
I never requested. I asked for the paperwork for the driveway.
And what happened?
Because from the time before, when we bought the house, when my father bought the house and my mother, there were bushes there. My father removed the bushes and made it all concrete.
Okay.
And that's the way it was.
So then from 1920, there hasn't been a driveway there. Since your father bought it is when he's created a driveway. There were bushes. You can't park on bushes.
No.
All right.
He got rid of the bushes.
All right. So then there has not been parking there since the 20s. So now what happens is, according to you, that your father concretes it, and then does he also install the gate?
Yes.
Okay. And that happens when, in the 70s?
I don't remember.
And when did you take possession of the house?
I don't own the house.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Okay. Do you live in the house?
Yes.
Have you lived there since the 70s?
Yes.
Okay. How many times has this happened?
Total about 5.
That's it?
Yeah.
I would have said 500 in a year.
No, I'm not going to lie. About 5.
No, I would say that it has to be...
They have no courtesy.
No, I would think that more people would park right in front. No?
They do it in my other neighbor's yard, too. Same thing.
All the time?
And yes, and he calls on them, too. And the other one, he's a fireman. He calls on them, too.
Calls on them, what do you mean?
To have them removed.
To have the cars towed?
Correct.
On the day when she refused in September,
correct,
when she said, I'm not moving my car, that's not a real driveway, did you call the police?
I don't think so. I don't know. It was very hard to get a police officer.
Oh, so you called, but they wouldn't come?
They didn't come.
So which is it? Did you call or did you not call?
I don't remember.
She did call.
Right.
And I called as well. And I couldn't wait.
In September?
In September.
And what happened?
I couldn't wait. They didn't, by the end of the day, they had never come.
How do you know she called?
Because she called in front of me.
So the police don't come. I assume you had to go back to class. Did you leave your class?
I went back to class.
Yeah. What were the heathens doing while you were out in the street trying to solve your parking?
It was my off period.
Oh, it was your off period.
And then when I was teaching, there was an announcement made over the PA asking the owner of my vehicle to move. So she disrupted the education of 2,000 children in that building.
Oh, I doubt that. I think you're overstating the case, but all right.
There are 2,000 children in the school.
Yeah, there may be, but an announcement to move your Subaru did not disturb their education. So now comes November, and you call the police on her, and this time the police do go out there. The police give you a ticket, don't they?
Correct.
So tell me about that.
So I got the ticket dismissed.
How do you first learn that something happened? You just go to your car and it's missing?
My car, it was missing.
Okay, because it had been towed.
On Monday.
And so you come out, the car's not there, and what do?
I call the precinct because I believe it was her, because we did have words in the morning.
Of course.
She yelled out the window.
Of the November, that same morning?
Yes.
Tell me about those words.
She yells out the window, you can't park there. I said, you don't own the street. And there were neighbors going, go girl, to me.
Okay.
I said, you don't own the street. It's a legal parking spot. I am leaving my car here. And I went into work.
How bad is the parking around there?
Very bad.
So in the morning, you say, tough for you, and you go to school. You're a very bold woman. Like, in other words, I would be thinking, heaven forbid the cops do ticket me, and then I get towed, and then I have to go to the people's court. That's the kind of thing I would be saying. But not you. You're like, no. And then you turn around and you go back to school. And then what happens? The cops ticketed you. And then she called the tow company. Because the tow won't happen. See, the tow won't happen unless the cops ticket you.
Yes.
Right? So you now know, because you've since had to go pick up your car, and now you know that the cops did ticket you.
Yes, I had to go to the precinct.
Right.
And then they looked up and said, yes, you were issued a ticket. Here's the tow company.
So you go to the tow company.
Go to the tow company, get my car. Somebody drove us to pick up the car.
Right. And you had to pay how much to the tow company?
Okay, so the tow company is...
$321.16.
Yes.
Okay. Then the ticket you fought.
Yes, I fought.
Okay, but you did not win on the merits. The judge says this is not on the merits. It's a technicality with the charging document, right?
Okay.
Yes or no?
Yeah,
okay.
It does say that
So you
somewhere.
didn't win on the merits. All right. So here we are now, ladies, and we're going to have to figure out if this is or isn't a driveway. So let me hear from you, Ms. Licamelli. Why don't you prove to me this is not a driveway?
Well, I was able to have someone search the New York City Department of Buildings, and it indicates that there is no curb cut for that driveway, and it also, or for that address, and it also indicates that a request was made and a request was rejected.
For a curb cut?
For a curb cut.
Let me see that.
There's a second report there.
Hold on. Who is Alexander, the person who's a friend of yours doing the run for you or something?
I believe so. It's someone, my husband.
Right. According to this, there had been a request by your address to get a curb cut, and that request was rejected. Tell me about that.
I don't know anything about it.
Is this public record, or is this privately for the Department of Buildings?
What I know is that the police officer does not have access to
Right,
search
so then
that.
I wouldn't have access either.
Right.
And then the second thing says something about a search for any kind of curb cut request, and that one said records not found, but then this one does have a record of it being rejected, so I'm confused how these two conflict.
I'm not 100% sure because it was someone else.
Let's see some pictures. Do you have pictures?
I do have some face front pictures.
Okay, which one's her house? We're in front of the black car or in front of the white car?
In front of the white car.
In front of the white car where this white...
No, back. In front of...
In back of the white car.
I am in front of the gate of her house. I'll show you from sideways
so you
here.
staged
This is a
it so
different
your
angle.
car would be exactly where you were that day?
No, that's
No.
a picture from that day.
Oh, this is a picture from that day.
Actually,
This
that's
is a picture from September.
The September one.
Yeah, it has to be September.
I don't have a picture from that day because my car wasn't there when I got back.
Right.
And here is a picture of the gate and the driveway.
That's fine. I want to see what's in front of the gate in the driveway. And I can't see it because your car's blocking it in this picture and your car's blocking it in, well, I can see it's kind of sideways here. And then in this picture, you're taking it too close.
Well, because it's hard to get between the car and the...
So, I mean, I don't see a curb, you know, the indentation that I should see when it's a driveway. I don't see that. I mean, you can't just make your own driveway. You have to have permission from Queens to be able to have a driveway. So do you have any evidence that there's ever been permission?
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality, certified pros at Angie.com.
So now you're not just suing for the tow, you're suing for bumper repair and brake replacement and tax for the repair bill. What are you talking about? When it got towed, they damaged it?
The tow company damaged
Why
it.
would she be responsible? Let's assume...
Because she had no authority to tow my vehicle.
Well, no, the authority came from the police, who their ticket gave the tow company authority to tow the car. Then the tow company, I guess what you're saying, is towed it incorrectly.
Yes.
That's an intervening act, and so you would have to sue the tow company for that, if in fact you could prove.
But it never would have happened if she didn't.
Yeah, I know, but you know, if he and I get into a car accident, I'm not going to sue his mother because it never would have happened if his mother hadn't had him. You know, like, we could go far. It's in the law. It's what's foreseeable. Okay.
Okay.
So I understand that it's foreseeable that, you know, hey, you got towed, and so I'm going to sue for that because you know you don't have a driveway. I understand that argument, but it is not foreseeable that the tow company would do damage to your car. That would never be on her.
Excuse me, Judge?
Yeah.
Also, between the September and November dates, the reason I got confused is September, yes, she was there. November was her coworker. Because I was in the window and I was telling her, do not block my driveway. I have to get in there today. And her, with her mouth, started screaming at me, vulgar language.
What did she say?
Well, to me, if she's telling me I'm stupid.
She called you stupid?
She did, yes.
Okay.
But have some courtesy. If I'm asking you, please don't block it. I have to get in there.
Wait, listen. By the time you get to me, I have one issue and one issue only.
Okay.
The issue is this a driveway or isn't it? And if it isn't, does she have to reimburse you when the cops came and gave you a ticket? Listen, I got to tell you, I don't think it's a driveway. I think you're right. But I now have to get to the secondary issue, which is if she calls the cops to call it, and the cops call it that you're parked in front of a driveway, does she now have to reimburse you because she doesn't have a driveway when the cops said you were parked in front of a driveway? Like, the only reason she called for the tow is because the cops agreed with her, because she can't do the tow unless the cops give you the ticket. And if the cops give you the ticket, is she wrong in calling the tow company? No, that's your next step, is to call the tow company when the cops give you a ticket for doing what she says you shouldn't do. The cops agreed with her. I mean, you really need to find out if you have a driveway or if you don't. You don't get to just smack the sign there. And I think that before you tell people they can't park there, you better make sure you have a legitimate driveway.
Oh, guess where I'm going tomorrow?
Okay, good, good. Yeah, I'm not going to make her recompense you because, the cops said it was a driveway. I'm ruling against you for the reasons that I just explained. And I can't in good conscience order her to, I don't feel like you should be out it, but I don't feel like she should be out it if the cops gave you the ticket. All right, verdict for the defendant.
So, in a fascinating case about a driveway, is it a driveway or not, the plaintiff has failed to convince the judge in a really close decision here. Ms. Licamelli, how do you feel about what the judge decided today? What are you thinking right now?
I understand that the cops issued the ticket, but it is not a legal driveway. The woman knows it's not a legal driveway. It's not a legal driveway.
But will you park there again? How
Maybe.
about that?
Maybe.
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 All right. So thank you very much. All right. So let's see what the defendant has to say. I mean, well, let me ask you. I mean, this is a really close case. What happens now? What are you gonna do in the future?
For next month, they're ripping up the road, so I don't have to worry about anything. Nobody's going to be able to park there.
Well, it'll get fixed at some point, won't it?
At some point, yeah.
All right. Well, listen, congratulations. I think you're lucky, quite frankly. Good luck to you, though. Okay?
Thank you, Doug. It was nice meeting
and
you.
I think yes, good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
bye-bye.
So, Doug, we've seen a million of these cases where somebody's car gets towed and they say it was done illegally. Well, in a situation like this, it's pretty easy because here you've got a policeman who sees that the car was illegally parked. And the judge is not required to follow what the police officer said, but if the police officer is there and sees it and then makes a judgment and writes a ticket, it's pretty much all she wrote.
My boyfriend of 17 years moved into my house and started renovating rooms I wasn't sure needed it. He even put in a new kitchen. We broke up, and now he wants me to pay him back the 80 grand he claims he spent on construction. But he doesn't have receipts. Do I have to pay him? What can I do?
Well, I guess people really don't plan for the contingency that they're going to break up. I mean,
No,
they were
maybe they
together
should.
17 years and everything. But if he really spent $80,000
I doubt that is true, but-
renovating the house, he should have receipts.
Of
for
course
one
he
thing.
should have receipts.
Unless he was the only one swinging a hammer and doing all the work himself, he's going to have receipts at least for materials,
Right.
But yeah, he can sue her for it.
Anybody can sue anybody for anything.
Right, but is he going to prevail?
I don't think so.
Maybe he just made a poor decision.
Yeah.
He
It's
wanted
like
to
money I
improve the
spent on
house.
my girlfriend. What are we
Right.
going to do? Sit down and go through all of the dinners they
Right.
ever had and
Well,
all
some
the
people
jewelry he
think
may
they're
have bought her?
going to,
But,
but a lot of people think they're going to do that in a courtroom, but judges take a pretty dim view of that most of the time.
No. Now, if there have been situations where a couple gets a divorce, okay, they're getting a divorce, and the house belonged to one party beforehand.
Right.
Let's
Right.
say the house belongs, this actually happened to a friend of mine, the house belonged to the husband.
Right.
So it's not her house. You can't get her mitts on it because it was his house going into the marriage.
But she has
so
improved it, maybe.
But she spent a ton of money to improve it. And the law in that circumstance is that the money that she put into the house for the improvements is marital property. And so so there was something to figure out. There was
math to figure out. But there's no intact marriage here.
No. There's no marriage.
Just...
You just spent a bunch of money. You have no records of what you spent, and now you're claiming it's $80,000.
It's almost like...
I think she dumped him, right? Wouldn't you think that's probably what happened? Because that's how you say, give me 80 grand, or without any proof.
It's almost like an $80,000 girlfriend-boyfriend loan versus gift dispute.
If there's no contingency plan at the time he spends the money, that if we break up, I'm going to get X, then no, he's not going to get X.
This is the plaintiff, Kimberly Paith. She says she went to the defendant's establishment to get her eyebrows shaped and styled. And she botched the job. That's right, one eyebrow was too big, the other one droops. And she can't look in the mirror anymore because she's horrified by her reflection. She's suing for $5,000, the state max, for all she's out. These are the defendants Sherry and Holly Manser. Sherry says they did everything humanly possible to please this woman. They provided a professional service to the plaintiff, and she's just one of those people who will never be satisfied with anything. Oh, her? No way. They're accused of failing to make a customer happy. The defendants have filed a countersuit for $6,000 for lost work.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says she went to the defendant's establishment to get her eyebrows shaped and says that the defendant did such a bad job she doesn't even recognize herself now in the mirror. But the defendant says that they did a fine job, thank you very much, and they think the judge is going to agree. It's the case of the eyes don't have it.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Paith, you came to the defendant's establishment in order to get your eyebrows and eyeliner tattooed?
My eyebrows had been done before. I just came to get the color touched up. COVID put it away, so I went 2 years instead of 18 months.
You went 2 years after the last time you'd done it?
Yeah, and it's supposed to be 18 months.
Okay. Why didn't you go to the person you had been going to?
She retired.
Oh, okay. So how did you learn about the defendant's salon?
They're a couple doors down from a restaurant.
So you tell her, I just want my eyebrows filled in, but filled in how much? Like, did you...
I just wanted them recolored. I did not need them reshaped.
Did you pick a picture or anything and say, this is what I want?
She said she could see what I had enough. She doesn't have to remap it. She can go ahead and fill in the colors.
Right, but that wasn't my question. My question was, I don't know what mapping is. Like, in other words, if I'm trying a new hairstylist, I would say, this is what I want and show a picture because my words may not match what she conjures in her head while I'm saying my words. So that's my question. Did you look through anything and pick out what you wanted or no?
No, I told her I wanted what I had, just with more color and a tiny point back in the corners.
What's a point back?
Just this little point that I had way over here.
Let me just ask you, on the day that you go in, were you happy when you left or you weren't happy?
No, I was not.
All right. And what did you say to her?
I had asked her why she changed the design. I had asked her where were the wedges that she recommended I get.
Wedges for what? Wedges for what? On the eyeliner?
The corners of the eyes. The corners of the eyes, yes. She was going to add wedges and add lower liner.
Okay. And what did she say when you said that?
She said, I'm not done yet. She said she only went over, as far as the eyeliner, she said she only went over what was already there. She didn't add anything.
I'm sorry, I'm asking at the end of your appointment, so she would be done at the end of your appointment, right? Or was your appointment a two-part appointment? I'm not understanding.
There's 2 times.
Oh, it is?
And
okay.
You get it done,
so then,
yes, and you let it heal.
All right, so you let it heal, and then when you came back, did she do more work?
Yes. I had talked to them in between and told them I was unhappy, and we had a long discussion. And she said that she could fix her mistakes and she would finish the eyeliner.
Did she call them her mistakes?
No. Anytime that I brought up that you didn't understand my point, she just, well, this is what, I'm happy to do you again if you come back in. And
all right.
I know.
So you come in and you're there for another certain amount of time. And when you're done that day, are you happy initially?
No, but they said everything was swollen, not to judge yet. So I gave a small tip and I left.
How much did you pay? How much did you pay for this job?
$1,000.
And how much of a small tip did you leave?
$80.
Okay. Now, the normal question that comes to mind with people hearing that is, why would you be paying a tip if you're unhappy with the result?
Because I was told not to judge while it was swollen.
Okay.
So I was trying to just...
Did you ask, as time passed and the swelling went down, were you still unhappy, and did you ask for your money back?
I did.
And what did they say?
No.
Okay. Now who is it who actually did the eyebrows? Sherry or Holly? All right. Sherry, can I hear from you, please?
Yes. She first came in the salon for a consultation. She just walked in, and I happened to have the time free, so I spent well over an hour with her. I told her there wasn't enough of her brow left that I could do a touch-up. It would be a 2-part procedure, and so would the eyeliner, because there wasn't much left there either. And I have pictures of her before.
So these are pictures of her before.
Yes.
On the top, and then the after would be on the bottom.
Yes. So she had hardly any eyebrow left, and she had hardly any eyeliner. And I did map her out again. I didn't.
What does map mean?
We measure. I use a caliper, and I measure the distance between the brows.
Okay, but these brows, like in this picture that I'm looking at.
Yes.
Those eyebrows look much thicker than the eyebrows that she had. It doesn't look like you followed what she had there.
Well, no, I didn't, because she hardly had anything left. So we measured them out. We discussed the size and everything. I sat her up several times during the procedure. I actually drew those on before we even started.
What do you mean you sat her up? What do you mean you sat her up?
Okay, she's lying down during the procedure. When you're laying down flat, it's hard to tell exactly. When you sit up, our skin moves.
Yes. So I know yes, when you sit up, the gravity pulls your skin. I got it, unfortunately.
I would hand her a mirror. She would sit up and she would look, to see what we're doing. So
and say, more here, less here? Like, what's the point of that? Okay.
That's the point.
Okay. And was she expressing dissatisfaction during those procedures?
She was tweaking everything that I did. I mean, if it was a minuscule, mostly about her brow arches. Okay. And she kept saying she wanted them higher and pointier. And so that just, to me, means more defined. So I am raising them as much as I could, but without actually going past her bone and muscle structure, because it would look unnatural. So you can see in the bottom picture where it's raised from the top. That's where I raised her arch. So at the time, she seemed happy with it, but she kept saying pointier. So I finally had her draw a picture. It seems to me like your industry should have, like a laminated card with every possible eyebrow. Say, pick your eyebrow, and it'll be much easier for you. It's just like when you go, remember the old days, you'd go to the salon and they would have all these magazines, remember magazines? And then you'd say, this is what I want. Or someone comes with an internet picture and says, this is what I want. It just seems to me like there's such room for error if people aren't super explicit about stuff. But okay, so you can go by a picture somewhat, but you still have to follow the shape of the person's face that you're dealing with. Otherwise, it'll look ridiculous. That's where your artistry comes in, telling them, no, you can't do that. If you do that, you're going to look ridiculous or whatever. Exactly. Right.
Also, if I could interject with
yes, and your name is Holly, and you are what to Sherry?
A partner.
Okay.
I also do microblading.
And well, you have the same last name. What else are you besides partner?
This is my mother.
Got
also.
it. Okay,
we
go ahead.
Together.
Okay,
and
go on.
I was when we did Miss Paith, I was in the room also for both of her appointments. With microblading, that's an unhealed picture that was right after the application. So they do look bigger and darker than they do once they heal.
So do you have pictures taken after the healing, Ms. Path?
I submitted some.
Okay. So what is this a picture of? This is before, correct, or after?
This is after.
How much after?
I had a headache that day. Probably about a year.
Oh, how long do these things last, though? You said 18 months?
They recommend getting a touch-up anytime I've had it, then about 18 months. But
okay, and how long has it been? When did you do this service with them? September of 2020?
Yes.
All right. Have you done it with anybody else since then?
No, I have not.
And I can still see your eyebrows.
Eyeliner on this side is much longer, and it looks down, so it looks like I almost have a stroke. And this side has just been extended a little bit. She was supposed to add wedges on each corner of these.
What the heck are wedges?
Okay, a wedge would be a widening of the area at the outer corner of the eye. I can show you a picture.
Yeah, show me a picture.
It's going to take me a second to find it.
I have one.
You have one. Show me a picture, Miss Path.
Okay.
Okay, both of you show me a picture. So just thicker, like a cat eye or whatever.
It's not a cat eye.
It's not a cat eye. That's right. See, this is why we use pictures. And all right. So you feel like that wasn't done well, and you want, let's see, you paid $1,000, but you want $5,000 paid to you 2 years later. And how do you figure?
One, I got diagnosed shortly after with brain AVM, arteriovenous malformation.
I know exactly what that is. My sister had that. Did you have surgery?
Yes, several.
And did it go well?
I've had 6 in the past 12 months.
Did it go well?
I've been able to walk.
Did it go? Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I got about half left, so.
Wow. Okay. So go on.
That kind of put a hold when I was sick a few months before that real bad. And that kind of put a hold on anything else in my life.
Okay, that's why it took 2 years, but tell me why it's $6,000.
Because in order to get it the way that I've lived with it for almost half a century now, I look in the mirror, it's not me. So I have to get the tattoo removal, their line removed from the top, and then I just got to get the line put back in after the removal heals.
But you would have to put the line back in anyway, wouldn't you? Because 2 years have passed.
They were supposed to fix it. And it is way dark. I've never had an arch like that. I've had it what she referred to as a golf club eyebrow. Do you have a statement from another expert about the job they did or anything? No, I referred to my old lady and see if I could get a hold of her, and I was told that one esthetician cannot judge another one's work.
Okay, that's ridiculous because it happens every day in my courtroom. Every day in court, when someone's suing for something like this, lots of people bring me a different person to say, no, they screwed up and this is why they screwed up. But you bring a very good point up, or she brings a very good point up, which is some things are art and not science. And I would think that this is one of those things. And that it would be hard to say, well, it shouldn't be here. Look, these don't look good. They don't look good for this reason. Well, her answer to it is going to be she got up several times and she kept pointing to what she wanted done, and we just kept doing whatever she wanted done. Is it true or not true that you got up and looked and, sat up straight?
It is not true. The first session, I was laying down, they had the mirror, and I looked every time while I was laying down. So I didn't notice the shape change till I stood up and things fell into place.
All right, what about the second time?
Flat. The second time they sat me up, and I thought the eyebrows were a little bit big, but they said it's swelling, and then they did my liner and they sat me up. That long line was the last thing they did, and it was just ridiculously...
All right, so tell me about your countersuit. You guys have a countersuit against her for $6,000. You want to tell me about that, Holly?
No, I was just going to acknowledge the countersuit. It is for so much time that we have lost dealing with this when we could have been dealing with new clients. We have 225 happy clients we've done over just a couple years. We're very busy. We're in demand. And we've been turning clients away. We've had to spend a lot of time revisiting the issue with Ms. Paith.
Okay, so how many times did you talk to her?
Probably 50 times, texting back and forth.
What about
been
conversations?
emails back and forth, conversations in person. She came in the salon ranting and raving.
Oh, tell me about that. I want to hear about that.
She got so loud, I had to threaten to call the police. When I told her I was going to call the police, she calmed down. I told her if she could behave herself, if she could calm down and she could behave, I would be happy to have her come back in the second time, and I would try to fix anything that she was not happy with.
So in between the two times she comes in and is, okay, I got it. All right, what this is truly an art and not a science. And both sides can call it a science. There are rules to artistry, true. You don't want to make someone look like a clown based on their bone structure. That doesn't make it science. It's still art. So you go in to see them and you say, I want X, and then they do Y in your testimony. Then your remedy is don't go back to them. It's not to get 6 times or 5 times what you paid them back in a lawsuit 2 years later, unless you got some really good evidence that they wrecked you. And that would mean that not that you didn't like it, because the pictures I'm looking at don't show anybody wrecking you. Not that you didn't like it, but hey, it's not what they did something wrong according to the industry. You do not have that. You do not have an expert saying they did something wrong. I'm not going to find they did something wrong. My verdict in this case is for the defendant and your lawsuit against them. On your countersuit, your remedy when you get sued as a professional is to win. That's your remedy. And you are going to win. You are winning. So on your lawsuit against her, 0. But on her lawsuit against you, I also find in favor of the defendants.
So in these competing lawsuits, it's a 0-0 tie. The plaintiff does not get $5,000 from the defendants. Ms. Path, let me ask you a question. How has it affected your life? I mean, you haven't proved she did anything wrong, but how has your life been affected by this?
1, I can't stand looking in the mirror. 2, I look like I've had a stroke.
Well, listen, I'm sorry. You can't prevail. You haven't proven to the judge that you deserve to prevail. What are you going to do now? Are you still going to do something to your face, to your eyebrows, or
I'm
what?
going to have to. It's not the face I've looked at for 50 years. Her opinion might be this is more attractive on me, but this doesn't look like me.
All right. Let's talk to Sherry Mansour. Sherry, let me ask you, how do you feel about the judge's verdict? I'm sure you're happy with it, elated, I would assume.
I feel it was very fair. I feel Kim's being unfair because it's been 2 years now, so of course she has nothing left that we've done. So I'm sorry she's unhappy, but I feel like she's an unhappy person regardless, and nobody is going to make her happy. She's not happy with anything.
I'm sorry you didn't prevail in your countersuit, but you did win, and you don't owe her any money, and apparently she's out of your life forever, and I assume you'll be happy with that. Am I right?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, Doug. Interesting case. Here's why. This is not a science. This has got to be somebody looking at the plaintiff and saying, was this done improperly or was it a good job? That is inherently a subjective judgment. It's not like science where there's a clear answer. The judge in this case has had life experience, as judges do, and the judge had to make her own judgment and said it was fine.
I'm a first-time homeowner, and a week before moving into my new home, I noticed that the roof was leaking. This roof is supposed to be new. I haven't even paid my first mortgage yet, but the seller's telling me it's not their responsibility and I should go through my own insurance company. Should I sue the sellers?
Okay, so
first of all, it sounds like after closing.
That
right?
sounds like after closing, and the dispositive issue is it after closing? That's one of the dispositive. There's so let's unpack all this.
We buy our houses as is. Normally,
well,
right?
Is this an as-is sale? Did you inspect it? Did they lie to you?
Right.
Did they say, what does new mean? It's a new roof. Is it new 5 years old or new a week old? And were they lying to you when they represented that? Did they make a factual misrepresentation upon which you relied?
Right.
You know, your first step is to get a roofer to say there is a problem here, and then to describe the problem. Was it that a tree branch fell on it, or did it just happen after the closing, or is it
you
something?
climbed around on your roof and broke it?
Yeah, you know, there's just so many things that could come into play. Can you sue the seller? It depends on what the answers are to the 45 questions we just posed.
Wouldn't you really kind of have to prove a fraud or an affirmative intentional misrepresentation?
Really?
Yeah.
You would?
And that's a pretty high threshold usually, and you got to have some evidence for that.
So, you know, this is not, can you sue? Yes, this is America. You can always sue for everything.
But is it covered by your homeowners as well?
And that's another question. It's probably a better idea to go through your homeowners if it's covered by your homeowners.
Probably be cheaper and faster than a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.